Did you know that every year, around 240,000 Americans experience a mini stroke, or TIA? These transient ischemic attacks are often brushed off because their symptoms are brief and seem to pass without lasting harm. But don't be fooled. These episodes are anything but harmless. In fact, 5 people who experience a TIA will suffer a major stroke within 90 days. And the elderly are particularly at risk. Think of a TIA as your body's urgent warning, a red flag signaling serious trouble ahead. Recognizing the signs early and acting quickly could literally save a life. The problem? These fleeting symptoms are easy to ignore or misdiagnose. That's why it's so important to stay informed, especially if you or a loved one is older. Let's explore how these warning signs can help prevent a life-altering stroke and what you need to do about them. What is a mini-stroke, TIA? A mini-stroke, medically known as a transient ischemic attack, TIA, is a temporary interruption of blood flow to the brain. It's like a small-scale warning. A blockage occurs, cutting off oxygen briefly, but the effects typically resolve within minutes to hours, leaving no lasting damage. Unlike a full-blown stroke, which can cause permanent disability or even be life-threatening, a TIA is more like a red flag, signaling that a major stroke could be on the horizon. Here's the key difference. While a stroke causes long-term brain damage, a TIA doesn't, at least not immediately. However, it's not something to ignore. Studies show that TIAs are most common among the elderly, with approximately 15% of people over 65 experiencing one at some point. Recognizing these episodes as a warning and seeking medical attention immediately can be the critical step to preventing a more severe, life-altering stroke. Why recognizing mini-strokes is crucial. Recognizing a mini-stroke, or TIA, is absolutely crucial because it's often a precursor to a major stroke. Studies reveal that about 1 in 3 people who experience a TIA will go on to have a full-blown stroke, and nearly half of these occur within the first 2 days after the TIA. That's why you can't afford to dismiss the symptoms. It's your body's way of sounding the alarm. If ignored, the consequences can be life-changing. A major stroke can lead to severe neurological damage, permanent disabilities like paralysis or loss of speech, and even death. But here's the good news. Catching a TIA early gives doctors the chance to intervene. Medications, lifestyle changes, or procedures can significantly lower the risk of a larger stroke. Recognizing the signs and acting quickly isn't just important. It could be the key to preventing long-term complications and preserving your quality of life. The 8 warning signs of mini-strokes in elderly. Number 1. Sudden weakness or numbness. The first warning sign of a mini-stroke, or TIA, is sudden weakness or numbness, often on one side of the body. This can affect the face, an arm, or a leg, and while it might seem minor or fleeting, it's one of the most common indicators that something isn't right. You might notice a drooping mouth, an arm that feels heavy and hard to lift, or a tingling sensation in your leg. These symptoms typically last only a few minutes to an hour, but even if they resolve quickly, they shouldn't be ignored. So, why does this happen? It's all about blood flow. A mini-stroke occurs when a blood vessel temporarily becomes blocked or narrowed, reducing oxygen supply to a specific region of the brain. If the area affected controls motor functions or sensation on one side of your body, you'll experience sudden weakness or numbness. The good news is that this is temporary because the blood flow is restored before permanent damage occurs. However, it's a red flag. Your brain is signaling that a larger stroke could be on the way. Recognizing and acting on this warning sign could make all the difference in preventing severe long-term complications. Number 2. Temporary vision changes. Another warning sign of a mini-stroke in the elderly is sudden vision changes. This might include blurriness, double vision, or even temporary blindness in one or both eyes. While these episodes are often brief, they're a serious indicator that something is disrupting blood flow to your brain or the areas responsible for vision. One specific condition associated with mini-strokes is called amaurosis fugax, a temporary loss of vision, usually in one eye. It's caused by a lack of blood flow to the retina, which acts as a warning that a major stroke could be imminent. People who experience this might describe it as a curtain or shadow falling over their vision, which can last a few seconds or minutes before it resolves. It's important to understand that these vision changes aren't random. They occur because a mini-stroke disrupts oxygen and nutrient supply to key parts of the brain and eyes. If you or a loved one notices sudden changes in vision like this, don't brush it off as fatigue or eye strain. It's your body's way of alerting you to a serious problem. Seek medical attention immediately, because addressing the issue early could prevent a life-threatening or disabling stroke. Number 3. Difficulty speaking or slurred speech. Difficulty speaking or slurred speech is another major warning sign of a mini-stroke, or TIA, and it's one that often surprises people. This can show up as trouble forming words, speaking clearly, or even understanding what others are saying. You might feel like the words are on the tip of your tongue, but they just won't come out right, or they come out jumbled. This is often linked to a condition called aphasia, which is a temporary inability to process or express language due to reduced blood flow to the areas of the brain responsible for speech and comprehension. When a mini-stroke occurs, even for a few minutes, it can disrupt these regions, leaving you struggling to communicate clearly. People around you might notice slurred or garbled speech, or you might find it difficult to follow what they're saying. While these symptoms may only last a short time, they're not something to dismiss as stress or fatigue. TIAs are warning signs of a larger stroke that could result in permanent damage to your ability to speak or understand. If you or someone you know experiences sudden speech difficulties like this, don't hesitate. Seek medical attention immediately. Early action could make all the difference in preventing a more serious stroke. Number 4. Sudden confusion. Sudden confusion is a warning sign of a mini-stroke that can easily be mistaken for something less serious, like fatigue, stress, or even early signs of dementia. It can manifest as difficulty concentrating, disorientation, or trouble remembering simple things. You might feel mentally foggy, unable to process information, or even confused about where you are or what you're doing. This cognitive impairment happens because a mini-stroke disrupts blood flow to areas of the brain responsible for thinking, memory, and problem-solving. Even though the symptoms usually last only a few minutes to an hour, they're a clear signal that something is wrong. Unfortunately, this confusion is often dismissed in elderly individuals as part of aging or memory lapses, which can delay critical medical attention. Here's what's important to understand. While dementia develops gradually, sudden confusion from a TIA is abrupt and temporary. It's your body's way of sending a loud warning that the brain isn't getting the blood supply it needs. Ignoring it increases the risk of a full-blown stroke, which can cause permanent cognitive damage. If you or a loved one experiences sudden confusion, don't second-guess it. Get medical help right away to protect brain health and prevent long-term complications. Number 5. Dizziness or loss of balance. Dizziness or a sudden loss of balance can be another key warning sign of a mini-stroke, or TIA. It might feel like the room is spinning, you're lightheaded, or you're unsteady on your feet, sometimes leading to unexpected falls. For many older adults, this symptom can be confusing because it's easy to attribute dizziness to something like dehydration, low blood sugar, or even an inner ear condition such as vertigo. while inner ear problems affect balance by disrupting signals from your ear to your brain. Dizziness caused by a TIA has a very different underlying cause. In the case of a mini-stroke, the problem lies with blood flow. When blood supply to the areas of the brain responsible for coordination and equilibrium is temporarily disrupted, you may experience sudden, unexplained balance issues or dizziness. The key difference is that TIA-related dizziness often appears out of nowhere and may accompany other warning signs like numbness, vision changes, or difficulty speaking. While these episodes might pass quickly, they're not harmless. They're a critical red flag that your brain isn't getting enough oxygen. If you or a loved one experiences sudden dizziness or balance problems, seek medical attention immediately. It could prevent a serious stroke down the line. Number 6. Severe headaches. Severe headaches are not the most common symptom of a mini-stroke, or TIA, but they can occur in certain cases, especially if there's vascular stress or a sudden change in blood flow within the brain. These headaches tend to come on quickly and feel different from your typical tension or migraine headaches. They're often described as sharp, intense, or unusual. So, why does this happen? During a TIA, a temporary blockage in a blood vessel can trigger changes in pressure or irritation in the blood vessels of the brain. While TIAs generally don't cause permanent damage, the stress on the vascular system may lead to sudden, unexplained headaches in some individuals. It's important to recognize the difference. Unlike regular headaches, TIA-related headaches may come with other warning signs, such as dizziness, vision changes, slurred speech, or numbness. These additional symptoms are key indicators that the headache could be part of something much more serious. For elderly individuals, sudden severe headaches should never be dismissed as just a headache. If they're accompanied by any other neurological symptoms, they could signal a TIA or even a larger stroke in progress. Seeking immediate medical attention could save your life or prevent long-term complications. Number 7. Brief loss of consciousness. A brief loss of consciousness, such as fainting or suddenly feeling unusually drowsy, can be a warning sign of a mini-stroke, or TIA. While it's easy to dismiss these episodes as dehydration, low blood sugar, or fatigue, they might indicate something much more serious: temporary disruption of blood flow to your brain. When the brain doesn't get enough oxygen and nutrients, even for a short time, it can cause you to feel lightheaded, weak, or completely lose consciousness. This happens because the brain relies on a constant and steady supply of blood to function properly. During a TIA, a temporary blockage or narrowing in a blood vessel interrupts that flow. Depending on the area of the brain affected, this can result in fainting or extreme drowsiness. While these symptoms are temporary, they're a red flag that your brain isn't getting the circulation it needs. What's especially concerning is that many people brush off these incidents, particularly in older adults, as just a spell or nothing serious. But ignoring them could lead to a major stroke down the road, with permanent consequences. If you or a loved one experiences a sudden loss of consciousness or unusual drowsiness, don't wait. Seek immediate medical attention. It could save a life. Number 8. Tingling sensations. Tingling sensations, often described as a pins and needles feeling, can also be a warning sign of a mini-stroke, or TIA. This sensation usually appears suddenly, often affecting just one side of the body, like an arm, leg, or even the face. While it might seem minor and easy to dismiss, this symptom shouldn't be ignored because it's a signal that something is interfering with blood flow to specific areas of the brain. The challenge with tingling sensations is that they can easily be mistaken for other, more common issues, like a pinched nerve, carpal tunnel syndrome, or even sleeping in an awkward position. However, when the cause is a TIA, it's a temporary interruption in blood supply to the nerves that control sensation. not a physical compression of the nerves themselves. What sets TA-related tingling apart is its sudden onset, and the fact that it typically occurs alongside other warning signs, like dizziness, vision changes, or slurred speech. If you experience sudden, unexplained tingling, especially on one side of your body, don't brush it off as something harmless. It could be a critical warning sign of a larger stroke on the horizon. Seek medical attention right away. Early intervention could prevent serious complications. Risk factors for mini-strokes in the elderly. Mini-strokes, or TIAs, don't happen randomly. They often result from underlying health conditions or lifestyle factors that increase the risk. Among the most significant contributors is high blood pressure, which puts excessive strain on blood vessels, making blockages or narrowing more likely. Similarly, diabetes plays a major role by damaging blood vessels and affecting blood flow to the brain. Another key risk factor is atrial fibrillation, AFib, an irregular heartbeat that can cause blood clots to form and travel to the brain. Other heart conditions also raise the likelihood of a TIA. Lifestyle choices are equally impactful. Smoking, for example, damages blood vessels and increases clotting risks, while obesity and a sedentary lifestyle contribute to poor cardiovascular health. Together, these factors create the perfect storm for mini-strokes and, potentially, a full-blown stroke. When it comes to TIAs, time is critical. Acting within the golden hour significantly increases the chance of preventing long-term damage. Use the FAST method. Check for changes in the face, arms, and speech, and note the time symptoms began. Diagnostic tools like MRI, CT scans, or carotid ultrasounds help doctors identify blockages or damaged blood vessels, allowing for timely treatment to reduce stroke risk and save lives. Treatment options and prevention strategies for mini-strokes. If you've experienced a mini-stroke, TIA, or are at risk, addressing the issue promptly is essential to prevent a more severe stroke. The good news is that there are effective treatments and prevention strategies available. Medications play a critical role. Doctors often prescribe antiplatelet drugs, like aspirin, to prevent blood cells from clumping together and forming clots. For individuals with conditions like atrial fibrillation, anticoagulants, commonly referred to as blood thinners, may be recommended to reduce the risk of clots forming in the heart and traveling to the brain. Lifestyle modifications are equally important. Adopting a heart-healthy diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats, can lower cholesterol and improve overall vascular health. Regular exercise, even light activities like walking or yoga, helps maintain a healthy weight, reduce blood pressure, and improve circulation. Quitting smoking and reducing alcohol consumption are also key steps toward reducing stroke risk. Managing underlying conditions like hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes is crucial. Consistent monitoring, prescribed medications, and working closely with your healthcare provider to keep these conditions under control can significantly lower the chances of another TIA or major stroke. Prevention isn't just about avoiding problems, it's about protecting your long-term brain and heart health. How families can support elderly loved ones. Supporting an elderly loved one at risk of or recovering from a mini-stroke, TIA, requires awareness, encouragement, and care. Families play a vital role in ensuring their loved ones stay safe and healthy. First, recognizing symptoms when your loved one may not be fully aware is crucial. Mini-strokes often have subtle signs, like slurred speech, sudden confusion, or numbness, which elderly individuals might dismiss. As a family member, knowing these warning signs and acting quickly can make all the difference. Don't hesitate to call for emergency help if you notice anything unusual. Encourage routine checkups with their healthcare provider to monitor blood pressure, cholesterol, and other risk factors. You can also help them adopt healthy habits, like cooking nutritious meals together or joining them for walks or other light exercises. Your involvement can make these changes feel less overwhelming and more enjoyable. Finally, provide emotional and logistical support during recovery or preventive care. Be there to help with transportation to medical appointments, remind them to take medications, and offer reassurance during what can feel like a frightening time. Your presence, patience, and understanding will not only aid their physical recovery, but also give them the confidence and motivation to prioritize their health. Mini-strokes, or TIAs, are not minor. They are critical warning signs of a potential major stroke. While their symptoms may seem brief or harmless, they are your body's way of signaling an urgent problem that requires immediate attention. Recognizing the signs early, seeking prompt medical care, and taking preventative steps like managing underlying conditions and adopting a healthier lifestyle can make all the difference. The good news? Awareness and timely action can save lives. By knowing the symptoms and risk factors, you can protect yourself or a loved one from the devastating effects of a full-blown stroke. Remember, every step you take toward prevention brings hope for a healthier, longer life. Together, we can turn awareness into action and ensure more positive outcomes for our loved ones. Stay informed and stay proactive.